place, and I think she felt an immense amount of guilt that she's, I think, still dealing with herself.
You know, Jim, it's interesting because both of these ladies have pointed out that they were in a situation where the parents weren't around full time, or there wasn't someone around them all the time to essentially protect them. First the mother's boyfriends, and then living with the father, and you know, with your mother's situation, trying to, you know, to move forward. Are there particular situations where kids are very vulnerable that we should be aware of and perhaps look out for?
I think with stepfathers and foster fathers, incest is much more likely to occur than with biological fathers. If the stepfather or foster father comes into the situation after the child is 4 or 5 or 6. If the father is around when the child is very young and participates in feeding and diapering the child, incest is much, much less likely.
Really?
So, yes, so that when men come into the relationship after that period, they don't have the same inhibition about incest. So it is more frequent that way.
Are these true pedophiles in the truest sense of the word?
No, most of them aren't pedophiles in the sense that they go outside the family in order to find children. It's children within the family, but it's often not just one child within the family. Mm-hmm. When the child gets old enough to no longer be so dependent and unable to resist, if there's another younger child, then the attention often goes to the younger child.
Many times we hear the incest victims say that they tried to protect their siblings from the abuse because they knew what they had gone through. I've heard people on this show tell us that experience too.
If I could just add, I think about children left in other care. I think what's important is that from the outside, in most families, I'll say, you would never, ever know. In my family, you would never know. I'm close to my other uncle, my mother's other brother. And so when I've told people, they are shocked because I think it's so prevalent in some cases because it is so well masked, both on the perpetrator side and on the child side. And I think that that's really important because if people are trying to think about their own situation, or maybe they've always had a little bit of a hunch that something's a little off, they might be right.
Is that what you would suggest? If people have a sense that something just doesn't seem right, that they should investigate it or at least be open to listening to a child or to a teenager?
Open to listening. When I was going through it, you could have invested, and eventually, especially after the child was born, they did send children and youth out, and fortunately the one that was sent to my house was extremely aggressive and just totally shut me off to the whole process, and you would not have gotten anything out of me at that point in my life. Nobody had taken the time to get to know me as a person before wanting to know this deep, dark secret that I wanted to take to my death. So I don't know that investigate is the right word. I think being open to listening, being compassionate, and there are behavior changes. It's one of the most important. There are behavior changes to watch for.
Such as?
For a lot of children, it's a child who impeccably takes care of their person and their body suddenly becoming slovenly. Mm-hmm. A child who has done great in school, grades dropping. A child who's been a mediocre student who's suddenly excelling. It's different for each child.
And very often the children are afraid of the dark when this happens because the incest or the abuse often happens when it's in the evening and late, and so they have a hard time sleeping. They have nightmares. Those are things to watch for.
For me, it was paranoia. I was a very paranoid child, always worried about other men, and I remember being a cheerleader and seeing these two men in the audience and thinking they wanted to kill me. Just very out of the norm kind of fears.
Now, both of you have sought counseling in various settings, and you've also moved forward with your lives and have been involved in relationships, have children. Did you have a difficult time trying to establish a relationship with a man as a result of this?
I think we can both say yes. Trust is a big issue. I'm incredibly blessed. My husband has been extremely wonderful. He has seen me through panic attacks where I was hiding in the closet to trying to become attuned to tones in my voice when I've reached a point where even my children couldn't do something.
But it is possible after
absolutely.
help
Yes.
and understanding to move forward and to have a quote-unquote normal relationship.
Absolutely. I think also you have to spend time on yourself first, but I think, as Linda said, I have a wonderful husband who has seen me at my deepest, darkest moments and at my most elated moments. And I think one thing that happens, again, for those who are watching, is when you have children sometimes that are of the age when you started experiencing the abuse, that can unearth some feelings. So just that can happen, so be prepared.
All right, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your personal stories with us and for doing the speaking on a regular basis, because only by you speaking out will you get others to seek help. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're in your debt for that. And Jim Pedigo, always wonderful to have you back with us. You always
Thank
provide
you.
us such important information. People can call J.J. Peters Institute
Yes,
if they need
please.
answers to some
Yes.
questions that they might have. And if you would like to ask us any questions, we have some information for you that we hope will be helpful. Thanks.